Upon learning that there is a sequel in the works called Xenotilt, I wanted to make a video review on Demon's Tilt, which originally came out in 2019 on PC and has since made its way to console. It's a PS4 version you're seeing on your screens, which I picked up a couple of years ago, and it's probably one of my most played pinball games that I have and that I own. The reason for this is that it's moorish, it's addictive, it's really well balanced, but it's super challenging at the same time. And it has weird shoot 'em up elements added in as well that makes it feel much more than the sum of its parts. In Demon's Tilt, you play in one single pinball table, and that might sound like a bit of a swizzle to begin with, but it's really 3 tables vertically stacked one on top of the other. Each table has its own mechanics, its own lanes to run around, its own flippers, its own idiosyncrasies, but crucially also its own mini-bosses that you have to defeat one way or another. And whenever you're triggering off any of these, be that the weird cyber nun in the middle, the chimera up on the top, or the weird demon down on the bottom, they start pinging out all kinds of bullet hell fire at you, which will cause you problems as you bounce around the pinball table with your ball. It's heavily affected by any of the fire that's going on, and it will just spank your ball back down again, and that causes you problems because the flippers aren't the most responsive things in the world, and that's on purpose because it means that you make every move intentionally as you go around the board. A lot of this is to do with chaining of certain moves or lanes or events and triggering off spellings of certain words like Zodiac, Arcane or Hermit. And these are specific little mini events that you're trying to work towards as you go along. So it could be destroying Matryoshka dolls, for example, that fill up on some of the hidden lanes in the events. It could be knocking down spikes on a little staircase on the side. It could be trying to turn on all of the different flames of these weird crypty coffins. But it also takes you off into little weird mini sub-tables elsewhere as well. And whilst I've not seen, even after 2 years, all of what Demon's Tilt has to offer, as I get further and higher up the leaderboard tables, more of this game just continues to open itself up to me that makes it just so moorish. And then I think, I just want one more go, as I try to desperately haul myself up the leaderboard and to get towards the mythical billion point scores. One of the interesting things around this, and it's something that I'd usually steer away from in pinball games, but is absolutely crucial in Demon's Tilt, is tilting the pinball table. You'll see in the bottom right hand side of the screen there's a skull on a chain, and because there are quite chonky gaps, particularly if you play on the harder difficulty modes, those gaps feel bigger and more easy to fall down. I don't know if that's just my personal opinion, but it's as if the centre of the pinball table is slightly wider as you go up the difficulties in this game. And what happens is you're constantly having to think, okay, do I smash the tilt now to try and save myself? But you need to do it in a way that doesn't mean that the skull hits the spikes on the sides, because then you get frozen out of the game. This kind of mechanic is present in most pinball games. However, I've never had to use it so tactically and so often in a game as I have in Demon's Tilt, where it's really into the fabric of the game design constantly. And some of the things that you have to do, I'm sure, personally rely on you having to tilt out so that you can hit certain areas of the game. I find Demon's Tilt to be an absolute beauty to play. I love the art style. It's very H.P. Lovecraftian, but on proper 80s synthwave neon clad darkest, deepest pub vibe going on. But it's also got a really, really cool heavy metal soundtrack that's going on in the background that just amps up everything that's going on. And when you see everything exploding around you, all of these different enemies firing waves of bullet hell drama at you, and you see your score racking up by thousands and thousands of points constantly, it really, really amps you up as a player. And even if you're just playing poorly like me, you'll still have a whale of a time seeing and finding and discovering new things with Demon's Tilt. This for me is honestly one of the best pinball games outside of Zen Pinball, I'm going to say 3. I don't really like the most recent one that's come out, especially as you have to rebuy all the tables, and I think that's a disgrace. But outside of that like megalithic compendium of pinball games, this is one of the ones that stand alone that I absolutely rate and recommend, and anyone that enjoys a pinball game should pick up Demon's Tilt. Written review will be over on highplanegames.com. Its sequel, Xenotilt, is starting to make the rounds on the gaming industry circuits. I don't know when it's coming, but the fact that it exists makes me excited because this was superb. I hope Xenotilt can live up to the hype too. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.